Hey everyone, this is PrinceBrightstar, and before we get started today, I need to check in with Pudding over here about extreme passes.
こんにちは。おや?
Really, Pudding? That's the reason why you can only give out one extreme pass per 22 hours? I gotta say, I don't use these things every day. Not to mention, if people are only supposed to have one per 22 hours, why do I see people with client orders, as well as shopkeepers giving them out as well? It seems to me you've got a bit of a black market on your hands. I would suggest you set an expiration date for these things. Anyway, this episode was intended to be the next episode. However, as I still haven't had a chance to get all the Demise footage I need, we will need to look at that next time. Today, instead, I want to try to lend a helping hand to anyone that needs some help on how to pass the new expert requirements. To catch everyone up, with this week's update, a new set of requirements for the expert player matching came out, and let me state up front, being considered an expert does not open any new missions or anything like that. All it does is change what players you get matched with. As to the requirements themselves, the first requires you to S-rank clear the Extreme Quest solo training Fanatical Phantoms. The target time for this is 15 minutes. The second is to S-rank clear the Trigger Quest Destroyers of Light. This trigger can be picked up from the badge exchange shop for 50 2019 weapon badges. In general, there are several things you can do, including increasing your stats to make completing these easier. First, learning how your class should play, and that does include having the right class tree set up. Second, making sure you use powerful weapons, units, and rings, and this does include having the right abilities on them. Next, learning enemy attack patterns to block or dodge them, and when you're yourself animation locked. And then there are also several things that you can do in terms of increasing your stats as well. This includes using the right drink on the camp ship, taking advantage of your team's tree, using crafted timed abilities, making sure you're using the right mag, having the right food, and as a final potential step, having all basic classes leveled to 75 for some extra stat boosts. But hopefully you won't need to do that in order to get those last few seconds off the clock. So when it comes to learning how your class should play, this comes down to using the resources you have available. The Arkslayer Discord has links to several class guides under the PSO2 Guides channel. PSO World also has class discussion threads. And of course, just watching players go through quests. I got my S ranks using a combination of Hunter Fighter and Hunter Phantom. And yes, you can swap out different elements as needed, as you'll see me do. Having played since the start of PSO2, I have a stack of all-class skill resets available to me, so I could just go ahead and craft the trees as I need them. As for the equipment you use, with the latest emergency quest, 13, 14, and 15 star weapons are dropping like candy in the new ultra-hard mode. For units, if you still don't have 12 stars, if you complete episode 1 to 3 of the story, you will get the pieces for a Phobos set. It's not the best, but it does have some built-in attack. Beyond that, there are specific units you can find in emergency quests that will greatly increase your attack power. For myself, with my main stat being S attack, I use the Rear Shine Red, which gives 80 built-in attack power for all attack types. In addition, I use a Chalra Kelas, which has another built-in 80 S attack. These built-in attack points go on top of what abilities you give them. Sadly, my luck with leg pieces isn't as good, so I'm just using the astrology that was given out as part of the recent Road to Episode 6 campaign. Now, I'm not going to go into full detail on how to affix abilities. Instead, I'm going to put in the descriptions below a set of guides I used provided by one of my Discord members. When it comes to learning enemy patterns, it comes down to familiarity with the enemies in question. Watching other players fight is one way to do it. Personal experience is another. For Mother and Deus, there is a non-trigger version of the Destroyers of Light quest, which will put you in a similar fight, but joined by other players. This shows up randomly as an emergency quest. As for the Extreme quest, since he's there at the start of the mission, that'll be the best place to face Deus Hunas. Aratron is a story boss, and you'll want to target his hammer. Once that breaks hit his chest, Phaleg is a boss you can fight at the end of episode 4 after the credits have rolled. It's not easy to simulate fighting the Chrome Dragon, Loser, and Apprentice at the same time. The closest equivalent simulator would probably be the end of the time attack quest, Traces of Darkness. Lastly, for Elder, he will pop up in an emergency Buster quest, as well as rarely in the normal Buster quests. There's also an Enchanted Forest trigger available that has him as an enemy at the end. As for learning your own animation locks, it's as simple as attacking and then holding your block or dodge button to see how long it takes for it to go off with each attack. The combination of learning your animation locks with when enemy attacks go off will let you get more damage out without putting yourself at risk. Using the right drink. For the extreme quest, it comes down to a question of, do you think you need more damage output, or are you taking too much damage? If you get to Elder with at least 7 minutes left on the clock, but keep dying to his strikes, you can probably bring your defenses up a bit. Determine this and make your choice. As for the Destroyers of Light, you don't want a shift to drink. Instead, come down to the random X drink, and start drinking over and over until you find an effect called Weak Point. This will have a larger effect when you need it than the shift to drink will. As I mentioned before, you'll want to take advantage of your team tree. If you're not on a team, try to join a team that has a level 8 attack buff tree. This will give you a huge increase to the damage you're doing, and will make things a lot easier if you haven't taken advantage of this buff before. Something else to look at are using crafted timed abilities. These typically last for 7 days and can give a combination of attack boosts, health boosts, and also applying special effects like getting a healing bonus or nullifying attacks. As for what you should use, you'll want to use the Extreme category for the Extreme quest, and Earth for the Trigger quest when it comes to what location you're trying to craft for. Your mag, of course, is a big part of your damage as well. If you don't have this at level 200 yet, or the mag you have is a combination of stats, get it to the point where you can get 200 of your main attack stat from it. You can exchange photon spheres for food that will help you get it leveled up. If it's a combination of stats, you have 2 choices. You can either purchase a new mag with AC and level that up from scratch, or if it's only a few levels off, you can go to the X Cube shop and purchase a mag leveled down for 50 X Cubes. Keep in mind, this is 1 level per set of X Cubes, so this can get costly. Having the right food will also help get those last attack stats you need. If you've ever met the Cake Sisters, their cakes are one way to get stats. If you play Idola Phantasy Star Saga, you can also exchange points for a steak that will give you 150 attack for 5 minutes. But for a balance of stats versus time and effect, you can look at the Meat Stir Fry, which gives 100 attack and 50 HP for 30 minutes. In order to get this, you're going to need 10 red meat, 10 coast olives, and 10 ruins grapes. You can get the red meat by defeating enemies, and the rest you can get either from gathering, or you can purchase it off the market. Once you have those, come over to Ida in Franca's Cafe and make the exchange. Now, one last thing you can do to help yourself out is to level your basic classes up to level 75. You can use the chart you see here, which is from the Bumped website, which lists the stat boosts you get when you get each class up to level 75. If I was on a class that used S attack as my main, I'd want to get at a minimum Fighter leveled up, and then also Gunner, Techer, Braver, and Bouncer. The defensive stats can also be useful during the Extreme quest, just because of the high damage that comes out in that. So with all that preparation out of the way, it's time to address the quests themselves. Let's go ahead and use the Trigger quest first. So as I mentioned before, you want to look at the random drink X, and you want to keep drinking until you get the weak point damage boost. And I also just popped some of the meat stir fry there. These default jet boots give me built-in shifter. And let me pop right back over to my sword now. And we want to take care of these hands as quickly as we can here.
Your Majesty, code Q.
Okay, that one just went into the sky, so that's gonna waste a couple of seconds here. There we go. Alright, so the reason you want the weak drink is for moments like this, where the boss's weak point is actually exposed. Being able to hit their weak point for more damage is going to be more effective than just increasing your overall attack, because it will allow you to skip hand phases. Now, I know there are guys out there that recommend going for specific hands first. To be honest, I'm just going for whatever's in front of me first. Alright, so at this point I'm out of photon points, so I need to get some back. Unfortunately, my weapon's special ability that refills it is not popping. That happens from time to time. Alright, Mother is down again. Let's do as much damage as we can. Alright, so it looks like we've got one more hand phase to take care of here. One more hand to go. And up into the sky it goes. Alright, let's hit Mother's weak point again. Okay, so we're about into phase 2. Now, something that you can do to increase the damage that's going out is, as she's coming out of it, you can actually attack her. Okay, unfortunately I missed with the bigger hit of my overend, but you can still get some early hits into phase 2 that way. So let's take out these blocks. And there we go, she did no damage to us. And now it's all just execution. I'm not getting the counters I want, but at least I am blocking some of the damage. There's a counter. We're on to the second block phase. Now I'm trying to use this photon art to try to do some more damage. Unfortunately, I'm not getting all the hits that I want, so I'm probably not going to make this. So yeah, I did not complete that one, but I can at least go for an over-end to get some early damage here. And there we go, Mother is down. So, what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to center myself on the stage because there's going to be a teleporter right there. You can get out of that animation early by going to the teleporter and using it early. And you want to start this teleporter immediately. Alright, so let's take on these dragon heads. Let's go for an over-end so that when they come back down, I get a big hit. Let's get some shift going, and we're going to switch over to the one on the right here. Okay, that one's a tree. That one's a tree. Alright, and that got the last one. Now we're just waiting for them to start doing their next move. There we go. And let's charge over. And charge over. Alright, Deus Esca is down. And let's go to town on it. Alright, we need to get out of the middle immediately. And I'm gonna pop an over-end. I have no idea how I got turned around there. But that attack should have hit a dragon head. Alright, that one's a tree. That one's a tree. Number 3. There's the last one. And let's charge over. And charge over. Charge over. There we go. Alright, up to the core. And now we are on to the remaining 4 heads. Let's pop our Photon Blast, see if that can help out here. Alright, that one's a tree. Alright, and once again, let's charge away! Alright, let's get Shifter going again here. Now, the combo I'm using here took a little practice for me to get it down, but the big thing here at the end is I use an overend as he's sweeping his hand back. I don't get interrupted when he sweeps his hand back, so that's why I use that. And now let's use Shifter again. And that's pretty much going to happen anytime he wastes time like that. Just keep damaging the core as best you can. I don't care that I'm running out of booster here. Oh, nice hit. Alright, let's get back over here and set up the overend. There we go. Nice, he's on the ground. So now we can just wail on him for a while. And let's set up the overend again. And there we go, we're on to the final phase. Alright, and so now it's about taking out the dragon heads one more time. I'm going to take care of one of them, and then I'm going to use a Dark Blast. Here we go. Let's hop up here and try to take out these heads as quickly as we can. Alright, those heads are done. Alright, let's go to town on Deus. And now let's heal up. And now let's do the rest of this with the sword once we shift up. Got about a minute 15 left. Once again, let's shift her. And set up the over end. Oh, nice! Alright, he's on the ground. Let's go to town. And that's it. Deus Esca is down. Let me go ahead and grab up all the items here.
Completed.
And let me just make a little space. Oh, I don't want to lock everything. Alright, final time was 17 minutes 42 seconds, so I had 18 seconds to spare there. Now, since I'm sure some of you are going to be interested in this, I wanted to show off the equipment that I use for this run. So those are the units. Here are 2 of the rings. I also have 2 rings attached to those units. And then here are the trees that I used. So at this point, let's go ahead and move on to the Extreme Quest. I'll bring you back in just a moment. So for myself, I'm going to grab a Ship to Drink Premium 2 here. And let's get this going. Okay, so as we can see, the first objective we have here is to take no damage for 60 seconds. And so with that, let's go ahead and buff up. And let's get this going. Okay, so for Deus Hunas, these 2 sword swipes, they will always be the first attacks he uses, and then he goes into whatever attacks he wants to use. You want to make sure you're always keeping your eye on the ground so that you don't get hit by something that comes up from the ground. And of course, block if you can to counter. When he does his large wind attack like that, I'll go out and I'll use Sonic Arrow on him. As for these little seeds, I tend to just dash in. And there we go, the stage order is cleared. One other thing I found that's kind of helpful here is to kind of just relax into it. Don't, like, try to force anything in how you're moving. You kind of need this to be natural. Okay, I've taken some damage at this point, but that's fine, because we have cleared the stage order. Now, of course, you could try to heal up, but by the time you're healed up, you're just going to get hit again. It's better to just keep attacking instead. I've got other things working to heal me. During this sword swipe, he changes his single swipe into 3 swipes. So just be careful of the extra hits. Now this attack right here, this is kind of his ultimate, so just back away, watch his movement, and just be careful. Alright, we should have him down pretty quickly here. And there we go, first stage complete. Okay, so on the second stage, within 3 minutes, we need to eliminate 2 Wolgata that have been shocked. That shock is going to come from the Aratron Famut, and as we can see, they're also weak to certain weapons right now. So, let's go ahead and buff up again. Now, let's get this going. Let's get some initial hits on one of them. Aratron will come out in just a moment. There he is. So, the next part of this stage, we need to wait for Aratron to shock the Wolgata. And so you see that little spark coming off of that one? That's what you need to look for. You need to kill one of them while that shock effect is on them. So there we go. We got one of them down. And something I will say is you do want to kind of be careful as you try to go for your kills, because the last thing you want to have happen is for a Wolgata to go down and the shock effect just wore off. So that's partially why I'm taking my time here. I could just keep attacking Aratron, but frankly, I want to pay more attention to the Wolgata. Okay, so that Wolgata went down, but it was not shocked at the time. So, we've got one left. Let's see if we can get this. I'm kind of waiting for it to get re-shocked at this point, because I don't want to risk it. There, it just wore off. There, it's been shocked again, so now I have the maximum amount of time to try to kill it. And there we go. So that clears the second stage order. Alright, and like I mentioned before, you want to break Aratron's hammer, and then just go to town on his chest. Once he brings his hammer back out, don't worry about it, just keep going after his chest. Alright, so stage 2 clear. And something else I should mention here is once you clear each stage, the timer stops. So if you need to take a breather for a moment, go ahead and do it. So, for the third stage, we need to take on Demon Phaleg, and we cannot heal for about 1,000 seconds here. So, as you've noticed, I've been using Resta through a lot of this, so I could try to conserve some of the mates I have for automate. So, what I'm going to do at this point here is, I'm going to take Resta off my bar just to make sure I don't accidentally trigger it. I'm also going to be putting on some more powerful units at this point here, just so I can try to take her out quicker. Now, something else I should note at this point is that even though Resta and using mates themselves will cause you to fail the condition, if you are using automate, you will not fail the condition of not healing. So, with all that said, let's go ahead and buff up, and let's get this going.
Stage start.
Learning how to block her attacks is going to be really important at this point, just so that you minimize the damage that you're taking. Now, I'm starting off with my sword here, even though she is weak to other weapons at this point. And that's because Phaleg has 2 phases. My plan is to switch over to another weapon once we're on to phase 2. Okay, she's open. Alright, there we go. We're on to phase 2. Let me switch over to my wired lance at this point, which she is weak to. Also, as you've probably noticed throughout this whole thing, we also have damage floors to worry about. So just do your best with those. And the reason I switched away from the sword during the fight is once you enter phase 2, the most used weapon you use during the first phase will do reduced damage against her.
Stage clear. Completed.
So at this point, I just want to take stock of where my mates are. And I want to switch back over to some more defensive units at this point. And that's because I want to reduce the amount of damage I'm taking in the next stage. There we go, that should be good. So, for this one, we need to take on a Chrome Dragon, a False Angel, and an Apprentice Doppelganger all at the same time. And the stage order is to defeat a Chrome Dragon within 5 minutes. I should be able to achieve that easily using my sword. Let's go ahead and buff up. And also, just for reference, these are the buffs I have on me currently. So my priority for this one is going to be the Chrome Dragon itself, since that's where the stage order is. And I'm going to keep healing as I go through this to try to make sure I can serve all the mates that I can for the final stage. Now, if you have the ability Vampiric Strike, that can be useful for getting health back as well. Just note that you'll only get about 30 per hit. And I find that that's not really that effective on a hunter using a sword. Alright, so Chrome Dragon's about to use one of his big attacks. Let me try to run away from it. Alright, the Chrome Dragon should be going down fairly soon here. There we go! Alright, let's take on Loser next. Alright, let's get away. And back in. There goes the Falls Loser. All that's left is the Apprentice Doppelganger. And down they go. So let's grab all the drops. And on to the last stage. As we can see, we have an Omega Hunar here. Weaknesses are to sword as well as light elements, as well as dark elements. And while it has a stage order of taking out one of his parts, I'm not even going to bother with that. Alright, so once again, here are the stats I have currently. And I'm going to put on some stronger units at this point here, just so I'm doing as much damage as I can. And let's go ahead and buff up. And let's get this going.
Stage start.
So when it comes to Omega Hunar, you just want to keep attacking. Just keep attacking. You're at the end. Definitely do whatever dodging or blocking you need to do, but keep attacking, because this guy has a ton of health. Watch for his bigger tails so you know when to get out. That dive kick you can avoid just simply by getting underneath where he is currently. And of course, if you get any negative status effects on you, you want to try to take care of that immediately. I don't like him being in this corner, so I'm going to try to draw him out. There we go. Alright, he's brought out his sword. As I mentioned before, I don't even care about that stage order here. Whenever he shields attacks like that, just get out because he's about to use an AoE. After he uses his sword like that, he's open for a few seconds. Get him out of the corner. Oh! Okay, let me heal up. And let's go ahead and pop our Photon Blast. Let's get the help that we can from that. I'm out of photon points. Almost got him down. Alright, let me heal up and then I'll use another meat stir fry. There we go. Gotta heal up again. Let's get rid of that negative.
Stage clear.
And there we go! 14 minutes, 6 seconds. So So let's see what dropped in this mission. Looks like an unteched weapon, a 12-star. Definitely want to try to go for that X-Cube and Photon Sphere. Alright, let's head up to the camp ship. And there is the confirmation. That is an S rank, and I actually did it 54 seconds faster than what the actual target time was. So once again, since I know some of you are going to be interested in this, here's some of the weapons I used. Here are the units I used. And then here are the rings again. And also here are a couple of crafted photon arts I have as well. And then here are the two class trees that I used for this. So, now that we have both of the expert requirements cleared, let's go ahead and talk to Kieaser. And you can see I got a bunch of titles here, but there are two in particular that we're interested in here. And those are the two expert requirements that you see right here. And so, by clearing those, you get 200 star gems as well as an ability plus 45%, which are both very useful. Alright, so hopefully the information I gave you up front, as well as the information I provided during the fights, gave you a little bit of a hint of what you might be able to do in order to complete clearing the requirements to get into the expert player matching. Once again, expert player matching has nothing to do with any missions that you might be locked out of. It only affects what players you get matched with. Of course, there are players that have much higher skill levels. I've seen players that are able to get the Destroyers of Light down to around 9 minutes or so. So, definitely, there is plenty of room for you to get this done. But you do need to at least do the proper preparation ahead of time in order to make sure you are successful. I hope this video has been helpful, and if you've enjoyed today's content, please do make sure to subscribe and click the bell to be notified whenever I do go live or whenever I put out a new video. In addition to that, I also have a Discord. Link to that is in the description below. Special thank you to my Discord members that also helped out with some of this as well here. Thank you for joining me today. This is PrinceBrightstar signing off. I'll catch you next time.